Well, welcome everybody in. Good seeing y'all. I am here today with my good buddy Eric Outer, who I'm just talking to for the first time. So we're going to have fun. Eric, do me a favor, brother. Can you introduce yourself? Tell everybody what's what, and then we'll start into this thing.
I appreciate it, Scab. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you having me, here on your channel. So my name is Eric Outer. I'm the host of social media and YouTube channel Outer Limitless. So I've been at it for 6.5 years or so in those particular platforms. I'm an outdoor enthusiast. Really enjoy getting out into the mountains and using a ton of gear, ton of knives, ton of blades. And I really, more than anything else, just really love this community. It's been phenomenal. The relationships and the people that you meet and the types of opportunities that you get, the further you dig yourself into this really cool world, the more and more I've enjoyed it. And so, Scott, Scab, this is, just another one of those sort of feathers in the cap. So I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being on. And you and I discussed this a little bit. Let's do this real quick. Legion Tacticals in the house. My guy Joe, Steel Forged and Fire. Charles, my good buddy John Peters is in. Jerbs is in. I know I've seen Matt in. JR's here. Guys, welcome in. I know we got Jerbs and Grugs and Mr. Joe as moderators. So I appreciate y'all, even though you probably didn't know you were one. Tony Boombots is here. So we're glad to be here. Here's the deal, guys. And I've told you, I guess, through text, but thank you for the opportunity with Tops. I appreciate that, man. Those that didn't know, Eric facilitated that for me. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
I'm glad it worked out. There's the way I look at it is the more and more we connect each other and the more we bring each other through this journey and open up other opportunities, the better and more connected the community is. So if I see opportunities, I know how to make those connections. I'm going to jump on it and I'm going to recommend good people for the right job. And I think that was the one for you.
Well, it's appreciated. I've loved Tops. Seriously love Tops since I got into really my first Tops, I think, was an Anaconda.
Yeah.
And dude, I just love Tops. And this is Work Tough Gear Wednesday, and you and I discussed this, but guys, we're going to be all over the place. And here's something too, though, to me, and I talked to Grugs a little bit about this today, and I've said it before, Tops and Work Tough Gear remind me a lot of each other as far as consistency across the board, the different designs, the different designers. Tops does 1095, Work Tough Gear SK. So there's a lot of similarities there. And so it's very, very cool. Now, you went to Blade Show.
Yeah. Yes. I love Blade Show, man. And I was hoping you were going to be there, but we're going to catch up one of these times.
I'll be at the next one.
I love it.
Actually, that no matter what, I'll be at the next one, man. It was like one of those things where when one thing falls and then the next thing falls, and then man, it was like, okay, at a point you just have to go, it's not meant to be. And I was mad. I was hoping everybody'd have a bad time, but
Well, the thing is, and a lot of people don't realize, but everything we do here, running a channel, going to the shows, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes, it's serious work and it's serious money. And, going to Blade Show, it's not cheap. And for some people, yeah, you can drive down the road and you can get there. But for other people, it's plane tickets and it's, buying your way into it. And it's, the rental cars and the hotel rooms. And man, it's a vacation. And then for me, with a family, it's, well, hey, honey, you're watching the kids for a week. And by the way, the money you thought we were going to have, I'm putting it towards going to a knife convention. So,
yeah.
You got to kind of look at it that way too. So I hear you, man. It's a lot.
Now, let me ask you this. Did you buy anything while you were there, or was it I know you put out a ton of videos, which I enjoyed seeing the different makers, but did you actually buy anything?
No, I am very sad in that regard. And I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but like I have so many commitments that I've already made to companies. If you look around at my studio and you watch my videos, I've designated myself not as a knife reviewer, but as and not even just a gear reviewer. I like to be a content creator. And I've made a lot of commitments to a lot of people. And if I'm going to buy something, it either has to be really, really special. And it's because I want to support the person. So I'll every now and then buy a custom knife, not because I necessarily need it or want it for me or for my collection, but to support the individual who makes it and
Right.
who manufactures it, to give them some business. And it's a great relationship that way. But at the show, it was very much a business trip. I look at this as a business. I look at it as running my business, going to produce the content that I have given the obligation to the people who I showed up. And on top of that, what some people don't realize is I'm also the U.S. service representative for Bestech knives. And I had a huge amount of work to do for Bestech while I was there. So some behind the scenes, and I'm not going to say necessarily wheeling and dealing, but making sure the business was moving on that end too. So a lot to do at a show and not enough time to go shopping for myself, unfortunately.
Well, that if I went and when I go to the first one, I think mine will be more about making connections and meeting. Honestly, and I don't mean that like, I'm talking about just meeting you guys.
Yes.
I want to go up. I want to hang out with folks. We want to hang. Joe and I wanted to go bad, and then Donnie wanted to go. And I'm telling you, but I want to go and meet people. DJ Horn is a guy that I send a ton of stuff to for me. He worked for Southern Grind and so I'd like to meet DJ and so I want to go, and I'm going to Atlanta.
Nice.
I don't know about West yet, but I know that next time I'm going, and I'm excited to go.
That's good. And Atlanta would be the one to go to. I mean, I like the idea of supporting the other shows, and hopefully they get bigger and bigger as time goes on. But right now, Atlanta is the jam. And not only that, we have enough time as a group and as a bunch who are hopefully going to all make it there to plan some pretty cool stuff in advance, which I'm excited about. So that'll be great.
Absolutely. Well, I was born here, grew up in South Georgia, but I have a couple of friends in Atlanta, around Atlanta. So we could actually make it to where we did some knife demos, reviews and stuff in some woods when we go up there, if we have time. But that's kind of what I was wondering, because I know folks have gone. I know a couple guys went and dropped $5-10 grand, and I'm like, that's awesome. But my wife would kill me, not so much because of the money spent, but it's one more knife.
Yeah.
So I think and I don't say that's not like, oh, look at me. You know what I'm talking about. They come in, and I'm so glad they come in, because it does. I'm a guy, I like putting out 3, 4, 5 reviews a week. I just enjoy it. It's my stress relief. So the house is full of knives, and I hope they continue to be. But that makes sense too, that you mentioned that about Bestech when we were texting about that back and forth the other day. So that's awesome, man. Now, Bestech, don't they make off grids? Or do they do some of off grids? Is that
so? I'm not entirely. I'm not entirely sure all the deals that they have and all the different companies that they're working with. So Bestech is their house brand, and then behind the scenes, they're an OEM manufacturer for a ton of the knife companies that people really know. So behind the scenes, a lot of these companies are the forward face, and then behind the scenes, you have the manufacturer, in this case, in a lot of cases, being Bestech. And I'm not exactly sure, again, everybody that they're working with. I know some, but not all of them.
Yeah. Well, they do a phenomenal job. And my wife's favorite knife is a Bestech, the Kendo. She loves that knife.
Good. That's a good knife.
Oh, bro, I've got 2 or 3 of them. I bought them for me because I love the look. I love the flipper. I love the whole thing. And then she confiscated both. It's just a great knife, man. Bestech's been doing, and I just did. Well, I'll tell you what I that off-grid rapid fire that I know Bestech made for them in the
Nice.
14C28N.
Yeah.
Man, that
Yep.
thing, I love that thing.
Good.
Love
Good.
that thing.
So let me
So
ask you about the Kendo real quick. Do you have
yeah,
the G10 version or the titanium version? Do you know?
G10,
You
G10.
want you want the titanium one to check it out?
Yeah, yeah.
All
I
right.
don't say no to knives, dude. I don't. Trust me, I don't say no to knives. I never have. I like titanium, but this, you know what I did? I'll tell you exactly what I did. We have an Ace Hardware here in town, right? 25 miles south of me, there's a little town that may have two stoplights. It's called Keystone Heights. They have an Ace Hardware that probably has the biggest knife selection in Northeast Florida. A lot of people don't know. The owner there made that conscious decision, hey, I'm going to be the best. It's crazy, really. But I went there, and of everything they had, I saw that, and I thought, and I picked one up, and then Meg confiscated that one, so I went and got it. I like the feel, I like the
Yeah.
action, I like the lockup. It's razor sharp. I like the blades. It's more of that. We've got the Tonto, but it's more of that. I'd say Eastern style. You know, where it's more of a soft.
It
To me,
is
I love that, man. Love
nice.
that. Hey, I know Brandon. Do you know Brandon Thrasher?
I
Thrasher's
do.
Garage. He's
Yeah.
here. He's a good dude, man.
Nice.
John, Addicted to Blades, is here. And John, where are you at? John, post your number, man, on how close you are to 1,000. Carl Ruger's here. Carl was fighting that crud again, buddy. I hope you're good. For those of you just coming in, this is Eric Outer. Y'all know Eric. And I wanted to show everybody that I do that all the time. This knife is the Stinger. I think this might be the most misunderstood knife in all of knifedom. I really do. Here's why. And I'll be the first to tell you, when I saw it, I love the style. And it almost has that softer right there.
Mm-hmm.
The Woodscraft Chonto is also your design. And we'll talk about that one in a minute. But for those of y'all that don't know, Eric is the designer of this. Talk to us a little bit about the thought process and the challenge of this, if you would, because I get a lot of questions on this one.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is good. And not to jump out of line here, but you know what? I want to take a real quick minute to say a couple of thank yous. First and foremost, to you, Scab. I already said thank you for having me on the channel. But this now, we're talking Victor Lin, just phenomenal at what he does, an amazing leader, really, in so many ways. A leader in, his craft, a leader in a community, a leader in how he has really approached this company as something that became a collaborative, not just about the individual, but about the whole. And so we can't go too far without shedding some light on that. And the second thing
Absolutely.
is the incredible community itself. So, the Work Tough Gear Facebook adventure team, phenomenal, just an incredible group of people. All the reviewers that have been putting a huge amount of work into promoting this brand. I mean, massive, massive amount of work that everybody's doing to bring this entire thing forward. So I didn't want to get too far without saying, a great big thank you to everybody in this community, and especially to Victor Lin. And
Vic is a rock star, dude.
Yeah,
Rock star, man. I mean, amen to that. Here's the deal, and I'll let you continue, but it's my show, so I'll probably interrupt you more. But
that's good.
I'm messing with you. The thing is this. I didn't start CCO to ever represent or do it. I just wanted to show my knives. Work Tough Gear, Vic Lin, Zeke Manacho, yourself, the other designers have just welcomed me in, and it's incredible. You know what I'm saying? To get a text from a guy that owns the company that just says, "Hey man, thank you for the video. I appreciate you." So to you and to everybody else in that, I thank you for making me a part, because I love it, and it is a family, it is a community. Now I'm gonna shut up and turn it back. Pistol Pete's in here. Hey, here's the thing too, Eric. Pistol Pete and Grubbs, Legion Tactical, have both been putting out a lot of work tough gear. So I want to acknowledge them both, because they're great guys, and they represent as well. Grubbs has a lot of the old school stuff. Pete's got a lot of the big stuff. So it's a really, really cool thing. So go on with the story about the Stinger. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I mean, and this all ties together. So when you see something like a brand like Work Tough Gear, when you see other reviewers that are getting things started, and that's a lot of times how I find out about stuff, just like the rest of everybody, right? So it's just out of the blue. The new knife came out from Work Tough Gear. It's this one here. It's the Tayal. Okay. Reached out to Victor Lynn just as a YouTuber and said, "Hey, I want to get in on a project. I'd love to review your knife." And the willingness of Vic, the sort of trust he puts in somebody to say, "You know what, I'll send a blade out your way, and I'd love to have you take a look at it." And immediately, everything that everybody else was talking about just absolutely blew my mind, caught me. And I'm not going to say by surprise, because I kind of expected it, but it caught me the way I hoped it would. And I was like, okay, there's something special here. So the first thing that anybody's going to realize the minute they pick up a Work Tough Gear knife is the incredible handles. I have yet to feel a single handle. And the blade, yeah, that's awesome. But, Scab, I think you're going to echo my sentiment, which is, it's one thing to have a great blade. It's another to have a phenomenal handle. And it really is the user interface with the knife. So when you feel handles that are this great and there's something special, you go, okay, like this company's doing something and they're doing it the right way. And I was already into knife design. I already had some projects moving on my own. And the first knife that I designed with Work Tough in mind was technically the Stinger, but not technically. It was actually at the time called the Woodscraft Tonto. And the Woodscraft Tonto was my feeling that Work Tough at this point had not really had much in the way of a Tonto design. I found a little bit of a niche in their lineup and said, if I'm going to design something, I want to design something that A, is not going to take the market space of a blade that already exists within the lineup, but B, is something that can complement the lineup and it looks like a Work Tough Gear knife. So I pitched the idea to Vic. At first, I was contemplating actually literally seeing if he wanted to use the same handle as the Tayal. And my original drawing actually did have that knife with this handle. And it was intended on being about the same size as the Tayal, a full-size belt knife, more closer to a 5-inch blade. We'll move forward. Full drawings completed and everything, CAD done, 3D renderings, all the work was complete. And it just seemed to make sense. I was already working on the Chonto, so the Woodscraft Chonto, and it made sense to move forward with the Chonto faster. So we did. And Vic said, let's go with the Chonto, when we got that moving. And so I wanted to make sure that I was backing up the Chonto design with another blade and said, well, you know what? If I got the full-size knife, let's scale the Tonto down to an EDC knife. Let's make it that little companion blade. And so that's how it really, kind of ended up the size that it did. And even through prototype, it was still called the Woodscraft Tonto. And after getting it in my hands and testing it, I was like, well, wait a minute. Two things, really. One, it's way more than the Woodscraft knife that I envisioned it to be. And two is I felt as though the name Stinger marketed better than Woodscraft Tonto, to be honest with you. So and that's how it kind of came to be.
That the Chonto, which I love, and I was really at every knife, because just like you, I won't say no to a knife, but here's the deal. I control what comes on my channel, right?
Right.
And I can tell you by looking at it. And it's not that I'm an expert, but I know what I like. You know what you like. Point blank, period. The Chonto intrigued me because it looked badass, and I thought I can do something with that. But then when I got it, and I'm not like I'm getting there on the woodscraft stuff, but I was amazed at the woodscraft, like what it can do, like just the small things, you know. And this one here, even in my video with this one here, it's really because we get these concepts in our head. Everybody sees this. I did it right that time, hit it right. And they think tactical and all that. And that's fine because it'll stick you. I stuck it right through a tire. But this thing is one of the best little woods crafting things. And you don't know it until you use it. You can do it. It's just, you can use it for so much. And I love the handle. And the handle has to be right for me. It has to. I got busted up hands. It's incredible. But this thing, this goes with me every day. Every single day. This and the Nomad EDC, one in each pocket. And I absolutely love them. Are they going to do another run of these? Because I'm sitting here looking at the comments and I see a lot of people wanting one. Are they going to do another run?
I'm glad you said it. And so Work Tuff kind of snuck it onto their website literally the day that the Puzon Wilderness Bowie came out. And personally, for me, none of this is about necessarily selling the knives. Yes, it's getting them into people's hands. And that's the most important thing. But I didn't want to take away from Dave Puzon's day. So I haven't even announced it yet. But if you go on Work Tuff's website right now, they actually do have a run that was launched on the 22nd. And I'm getting my media stuff ready to have my own sort of, hey, by the way. So this is actually an awesome kickoff for that. So yeah,
very cool.
People want a stinger. It's up there now.
Well, guys, for those of y'all, and for those of y'all that want them, you better get them, because here's the deal. When they go, I just seen Jacob, Jacob's a big supporter of the channel, but he's a big time Work Tuff gear freak too. So go buy one, Jacob. JR, if you want one, Jimbo. But I don't believe Work Tuff doesn't make a folder yet, do they? Garen was asking.
No,
not yet.
I was trying to push a little while for that. I thought I had some avenues to make it go, but maybe, I don't know. You know what? I think it would be really fantastic. They should.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this: they do what they do so very well that I almost want them just to stay where we're at. You know, always do different stuff. Yeah. Experiment, explore, do all of that. But my thing is with it, I don't want to say stay in your lane, but right now they're hitting on all cylinders. It's like they're hitting and don't mess up. You know what I'm saying? That I'll tell you exactly how I really got into Work Tuff gear is my buddy Kirk. I used to work with him over at one of the jobs. Anyway, we were talking one day and he come in and he kind of threw a towel on my lap. And I'm like, he said, you need to check it out. I found them I guess it was when Work Tuff gear was on Amazon. And I said, all right. So I checked it out. I checked the Mountain Bushman out and I checked the mini tail out. Right. And then by the time I said, okay, because I started looking at all the designs and stuff, a lot of them moved off of Amazon. And I was like, damn it. But
yeah,
I had and you know how this goes, man. I started off when I started this channel, I started off, and you can tell, you can watch the progression of my videos. A lot of it was screwing around trying to find that lane. You know what I'm saying? And then a guy named JR came along. JR's in the comments, and he said, hey man, he sent me an email. I said, hey, I have some blades I think you'd be interested in testing. I said, yeah. So he sent the Nomad Field or the Camp, whichever the big one is. I get them backwards.
Yep, the Camp.
And that was right about the time, man, that I had kind of started locking into the testing, kind of started locking in and finding my groove. and it just kind of like everything hit. I did the knife. I put some pictures on Instagram, and Zeke started commenting. And finally, I put two and two, and I sent him a message. I say, "Hey, man, are you the designer?" And he goes, "Yeah, I've talked to Vic. He's going to get with you." And that's kind of the way everything started going.
Yeah.
But the Teal and the Ateal, they just speak to me on a different level. Like I just sent my Teal. I've got a Teal with a convex, and I just sent it to my guy to really take care of. And dude, I love the knife. I love the handle. I love the design. I love everything about it. It's a great, great knife. I think I just now. How many work Tuff gears do you have?
I was looking at that today. So ones that are not my designs, I have 22.
Okay.
And then
So you
ones
got a
that
lot
are,
of.
I got a bunch, yeah. And then the ones that are my designs, I have a ton of those. But yeah, I mean, and that's a mix. You know, again, as a reviewer, we get our hands on a lot of things. So I mean, a lot of them have been sent to me. Another good amount of them I bought. So I mean, every company that I work with, I try to be as much of a customer as I
Right.
am a reviewer. You know, I believe in the people, I believe in the business, and I'm going to support that in every way that I can. And that literally includes being a customer. And believe me, I've been in those the drops as much as everybody else, trying to jump on a blade and scoop them up. So and you know, it's for the love of the knife. It's a love of the brand, and it's for support of both the designer, which is awesome, being outside designers and having the opportunity. So it's for that designer and their support, and for the community, and for Vic.
Now, how many designs do you have
So
that you can
in
talk about?
Yeah, in work Tuff gear, I have two.
Okay.
Really, the two that we've been talking about, both the Woodscraft Chanto and then the Stinger. I would say that the larger version of the Stinger is sort of an iteration of that. And I've also presented a couple of other designs. I have one right now that, you know, I believe Vic is working on some CAD for, which I really am looking forward to, and I think everyone's really going to love it. If you like the handle on the Chanto, you're gonna like this.
Yeah.
You know, when you find something that works, don't change it. You know, go with
Yeah.
it, roll with it, and that's what I'm kind of liking about what some of the other designers are doing too. Like, if there's somebody that really likes the, you know, Gen 2 handle on the Puzon Bowie, you know, which is the same as the Puzon Predator, it's like, well, why would you change it? It works. It's comfortable. We
Right.
like it. It's you know, it's that muscle memory and the things that you enjoy about it. And I know there's supporters that really enjoy the Chanto handle. So I said, you know what, let's take it and put it on another blade. And so yeah, it's really cool. It's a good quality stout field knife. A little bit larger, but you know, it's not in a chopper class. It's a field knife, and I'm pretty
Right.
pumped about it. It's a tight design. If different than my other designs in the fact that it's much more straightforward, a little more, you know, a little more traditional in style. The Chanto, of course, is a little bit out there. The Tonto is a Tonto. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for it, and I think it's gonna really sit in a nice pocket.
Good. I'm excited. Bobby Shoe is in the house, and Bobby's got a design coming. I'm in love with Bobby's design. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm fired up about that, man. Golly, that's a good design. So he's got one coming, and he was saying, now I'm gonna try to do this. Joe usually does this, so I'm gonna try to put this comment up. If I screw it up, I'm trying not to. But I like the whole deal. There we go. I got it. I'm good. But you know, supporting the other designers, I love seeing that. I love there's not really a competition. It doesn't seem like it's competitive between you guys. It seems like there's a lot of support. And I've said this. Thank you, EDC, for fun. Appreciate it, brother. I've said this before, and the thing is this: with you guys, there's very few knife designers, knife makers that have ever done this, and you guys all do it. Vic, especially, again, kudos to Vic. No matter what picture I put, on Instagram or on Facebook, Vic Lim liked it. And that speaks volumes to me. You know what I'm saying?
It's
If it's Work Tough
incredible.
gear, and it never fails. If you look at a lot of my work, if you look at a lot of my Instagram pics, no matter the maker, Work Tough gear will have a like by it. That means a lot. That says a lot to me. They're knife guys, and that's just huge to me. Now, I think everybody misunderstood what I meant about Work Tough Wednesday. I didn't mean I was going to be the only one putting up pictures, but I think that's the way everybody took it. So on the next one, if everybody will help me out with that, that would be greatly appreciated. Because I kept going today, Eric. I was like, hey, will somebody put up this pic? Meaning somebody jump in. And dude, people were just, and I appreciate it, but people were messaging me and Instagram message, all kind of pictures. I'm like, just post them. But next week we'll do it. Well, let's do this. Let's kind of transition a little bit. Because we'll always talk about Work Tough gear. You got knives there. I love them. And it's Work Tough Wednesday, but you and I have some things in common coming up. And yes. I think we need to discuss them too. And what I was going to ask you is how did you get kind of locked in with Carnivora?
So that is another one of those, when you get into the circle, right? You kind of step into the arena and you start to figure out who's doing what, and you start to pay attention. And Carnivora was one of those brands that made me kind of wonder, what were they about? I feel like they came on fairly quick and fairly aggressive. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean aggressive in the fact that more than anybody else, they were pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. Now, I had no idea who they were, what they were about. All I knew is they had constant new design, new promotion, throwing ideas out there, talking to people, commenting in, in all sorts of visual spaces in the arena, in the circle that I was kind of dancing in. And so I did start paying a little bit more attention to Carnivora. It was actually just figuring out who Don Moore Kramer was from his posts and kind of seeing that he was active and that he was the one that was a driving force within Carnivora. And then at Blade Show, he was at a booth. And I was like, hey, that's that Don guy. Let me swing over there and say hello. And immediately we were like on the same page. And that's the nice thing about some of these opportunities. That's the nice thing about knife guys and gear guys and people that really want to push and really do look at this like, and I, do I look at this as an obligation? Is it an obligation to everybody? Is it an obligation to myself? Is it an obligation to the people that I've made commitments to? It's all of that. I look at it as a means to, create content. I look at it as a means to create relationships. And when I see those relationships, I look at it as an obligation to flourish. And life only gives you so many chances. And if you don't take advantage of every chance that you're given, you've let one go by. And so I'm not going to walk by a booth with Don sitting there and not go and say, hey, Don, you're the guy I've noticed who's, kind of stepping up and really being, visual and pushing and driving. And I like to push and drive too. I take it seriously, all the things I've been saying. I look at it as, how do you grow? How do you advance? And I was just like, Don's one of those guys you're going to hear more and more about him. You're going to know more and more about Carnivora. There's going to be more and more of the inner circle, so to speak, that's connected because he's the type of guy that's going to make things happen. And I'm really glad that I said hi. I'm really glad I just went and shook his hand, because I can tell you that he's somebody that's going to become a good friend. And over time, we're going to be at events together, and we're going to be at shows together, and we're going to collaborate together. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, might already be doing that. So that is how I kind of fell into Carnivora. And at the exact same time, watching your reviews and seeing what you're doing, I noticed that you were getting some traction with Carnivora too, and it just all kind of fell into place all together, which was really neat.
I told you off there, and I'll say it now. I actually text Don or messaged Don before you and I went on, because I was just like, hey man, because I knew you and I were going on. I know you and I are reviewing a lot of the knives. So I said, hey man, what do we got coming down the pipe? I said, and I was honest. I said, look, whether it's work to gear tops, whoever, a knife's a knife's a knife, and I'm gonna put my reviews to it. But with you guys, we get all kind of different stuff. So what do we got coming down the saber tooth? What do we got coming down the pipe? We've got at least 12 reviews coming for the rest of this year. So there's a lot coming. They're about to get with it. And I've got to say, you've got the saber tooth there. I've got the Aisha here.
Nice.
And guys, you can see, if you've seen either one, the build quality is spot on. The materials are spot on. Uses a lot of 51s now, and it's Shaney over at Shade. The materials are spot. I love 5160, and they do such a great job, man. The build quality's there, and I can't remember the name of that damn sickle, but I got it over there. That thing was a blast. So we got a lot coming that you and I hope are going to be collaborating on and helping. Real quick, John Peters is in the house. John's a good friend of mine. Talk to him daily. The Shredder Knife Reviews. Do you know the Shredders?
I do not.
You got to get to know the Shredders. They are, Daniel's in the house. Clemens is in the house. Maurice. You've got to get the Shredders. Papa Shredder's on, but Shredder is Ezekiel. He's 11, and he's in California, and they do. Off-Grid loves the Shredders, and the Shredders love Off-Grid. But you got to get to know that family. Awesome, awesome, awesome people. So here's the thing with Carnivora that I like. Don's a wild man. He's out. He's a go-getter. He's out there. But I think we're going to have a lot of fun with him. And Don's the kind of guy that'll help you, I believe, any way he can. Just from the few interactions, I believe he wants to grow and he wants to go. And that's kind of where you want to be. There's a lot of old school companies that are great, and I love them, and they're awesome. But I want to be kind of with the new kids, because I'm an old guy, but I want to be, you want to be there with the Aisha, with the saber tooth, with the sickle that I wish I could remember the name of, the Baroness that I just did from Jeremy Boulder Valentine, who's got some stuff coming from Work Tough Gear. So what I was going to say too is, I see, like you said, the circle. There's a lot of guys that design for Work Tough that are with Carnivora. So we're going to see a lot of cool stuff coming. Some really, really cool stuff coming down the pipe.
We have yet to even begin the journey, which is the wild part of this. What I want people to understand about Carnivora, if they haven't really stumbled into Carnivora yet, or they're questioning, well, what exactly is this? So Don Moore Kramer really started as a video game designer and had blades and weapons and stuff that were sort of falling in that fantasy land, and took those visions and started really pushing to get those designs manufactured as fully functional tools. And what blows my mind is the fact that, and if you look at my designs, I'll hold up one of my simple Tana family knives designs. They're just as straightforward as they could possibly get.
Yep.
I'm a very, yes. So I'll get into these. I'll talk about these in a little bit. And I think you'll like them.
I like it now. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. But to have the vision to be able to create all these wild designs and wild lines into tools that are so phenomenally functional. The ergonomics are like surprising. The carvability is surprising, the balance. And then you take the shade factor. So most of his designs are being manufactured, and when Scab says shade, that is shade of Indonesia. Very high quality, high standard manufacturing in a country that has a renowned history of phenomenal blade work and the need for these tools to perform in jungle conditions. You combine that and you have something that's really mind-blowing, and I am so excited to have fallen into this. I'm so excited to have experienced it, and I think everybody should certainly take a hard look at Carnivora, because they're a brand and a company to pay attention to, and their designs are really, really neat.
They really are. They're a little more pricey, to what's going on, but the build quality's there. That axe will last you forever, man. Forever.
An eternity.
And here's the deal: the Baroness, which is similar to, but a lot bigger. I'll say this for this knife right here, if I can find the damn. This might be one of the best choppers I've ever used. And if you watch the video, it's just absolutely a maniac. And I think in the video, I even chopped more than I probably normally would with this point here. I mean, they've got it down pat, and it's solid. This is right at, maybe not a quarter, but it's close. A 5160, man. I mean, it's just a slab, and it's gorgeous. Shaney does a phenomenal job. He really does. That the Dark Horse 2 that he just come out with. That dude does some work, man.
Yeah.
I mean, some work. And I've said too before, somebody asked me or I've been asked if I'm going to design a knife. No, I'm not a knife designer. I like wrecking stuff. I'll probably wind up, honestly, with a Warhammer is probably where I'll go, just to have, the knife designing is cool, but I like the lane I'm in. And again, I'm going to stay in my lane. But if I come up with something, it would probably be with shade, and it would probably be a Warhammer type deal. But I'm fired up. I'm excited about what they've got coming down the pipe. I think it really, really, really lends itself to going after a different crowd.
Yes.
And making, and I'll tell you like this, and I'll say this, and people kind of, there's always these groups, and this isn't negative. It's just the way we form up. There's, folder guys and fixed blade guys, and that kind of wears me out, man, because I love all knives. I really do. If it's sharp, if it's pointy, I love it. But there's another crowd, and I kind of fit into the nerd crowd, where it's that making fantasy functional, and they've done it. It's like there used to be these old stores in the mall. They were cigar stores, but they had all the crazy swords and battle axes and all that. And they were just, Joe, really, brother? Thank you, man. Shout out to Joe for $10. Scab, you're killing it. Well, of course. Eric, much respect for your body of work. Welcome, my friend. Joe is my partner. Are you Miami, Joe? But it's going to open up that damn, just a different avenue where you can, because it's cool to make feather sticks. It's cool to make a fire. It's cool to stab a tire. But sometimes you just want to pick something up and just go wreck something. And that's what I love about, because Don's kind of got that mind. He's got that mindset. Let's go after it. And I'm really fired up. Joe's got a design. I might get with you on that I'd love to see Carnivora do. That's badass. And I think it would fit.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought some of that up, because the other thing that it does is it takes you out of your sort of rubric, right? if you watch my videos and you go back, I've tried to pick a lot of different scenarios, as many as I possibly can, as as a full-time, with a full-time job, with a full-time family, trying to do a full-time YouTube. It's, you do the best you can to make things interesting, and sometimes it's the product that changes the way you approach it. And when you see a design that
Absolutely.
takes you out of your comfort zone and takes you to a place that you haven't quite been in your hands, well, now you're talking. That's education. It's making me think different. It's making me feel different. It's giving me different excitement. And that's really what Carnivora did for me. Work Tough Gear did that for me. And Carnivora does that for me too.
Yeah. Well, Work Tough Gear, and of course, I sat down with your stinger, and oh, here it is. Work Tough Gear makes designs that I love. I love this thing. These are, I think it's like this, man. Thank you, Slingshot, and I'm going to check out your video when tonight's over. Hey, Slingshot Warriors got a challenge going on that's kind of cool. If you got to pick 2 weapons that you would fight vampires with. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that concept. That might be something just to think about for a fun video. I've got a couple of options, but it kind of ties into what I was going to say. Work Tough Gear makes it easy to review a knife, dude. They really do. They really do. Because look, when I went out and did the video today, yesterday, I went and bought some coconuts, right? I got tires at work. I got deer antlers. I knew what I was going to do, and I knew it was going to hold up. That's easy. You know what I'm saying? Carnivora makes things easy from a standpoint of, okay, you can wreck stuff. They make it difficult. Show that saber tooth again, if you would. Now, guys, there's a lot of content creators in the room, and I appreciate everybody being here. And y'all, please hit the like. But content creators and everybody alike. EDC for fun. Good night, buddy. Take a look at that. Take a look at what he's holding up, and then start thinking about reviews. See, it's one thing to type in, "Oh, that's badass." It is, but then think about reviewing it, using it. It's a challenge.
I was afraid of it at first. it had me scared. I was like, I don't usually get intimidated by a blade. And I was like, I don't even know where to start.
Thank you, Joe, for putting that link up. That's Eric's link. Y'all go subscribe. Yeah, that and the point, pointed back on the bottom. That kind of, I was like, the first thing I did is I walked outside and I chopped some stuff just to see if it was going to hit my hand. It doesn't.
Right.
But once you kind of get into that thing, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, once you kind of get into it, then it becomes a little more easy. Like with Carnivora stuff, it's like, okay, I'm going into it. I'm going to go buy certain things, right? Watermelons, and we're going to have fun. But you're going to have fun. So in that regard, that part's easy. But when because you've done this a while, Byron Kennedy, how are you? It depends on your skill set, brother. He said, how fast can you carve out a canoe with that saber tooth? I'm going to have to say it depends on your skill set. And mine.
No. He was directly challenging you.
Well, we might have to find out. I got one. I can do it. We can see. Uh-huh. I'll have to turn the volume down because there would probably be some profanity. But the thing is with that, and that's not saying nobody could do it, because certainly we've reviewed it and I'll enjoy both videos. But I'm just saying, with some of this stuff, with Carnivora, it looks badass and it looks cool, and it is. But from a review standpoint, because here's the thing about Don too, it's not just Don. It's Mama Kramer, Papa Kramer. And when you do a review of their stuff as a family, they get together and put it on the big screen. No pressure.
Right. It's very true.
You know,
yeah.
no pressure. And Mama Kramer knows as much about knives and stuff as anybody in the game, and she's learning. So there's that aspect, and kind of talking in that vein. Tell me a little bit about your psychology, like going into it. Just, I don't know how long you have tonight, but in the spirit of the free flow, talk to me just a little bit about how you approach a knife in a review. The psychology behind it.
Yeah, a lot of times, I'll have a knife that I have in my possession. Maybe I, receive it for a review. I intentionally try not to handle it because I don't want it to get stale. I don't want to start using it. I really want to really break it out for that first impression, for that authentic use. I'm very cognizant of that in how I approach all of my reviews. Really, doesn't matter what the product genre is, knife or otherwise.
Right.
And so, a lot of times I'll rely on the knife itself, the tool itself, to start to sort of speak to me and what I think I'm going to do with it. Now, I'm automatically going to be a woods craft or firecraft guy. I'm huge into going deep into the mountains. I do truly rely on knives. In fact, a perfect example, a couple of perfect examples, check out my Lanzetta review. I mean, fully relied on this to fully process my fire in fairly wet conditions in an incredible remote place with a bunch of people that didn't bring tools. And this is the one tool that I had. I was like, okay, this is my one tool. Like, and I want to gain that understanding with my tools. And so, even if I'm doing backyard testing, that's important. That's a proving ground. And, Scab, you've said it a number of times, and most recently you've been kind of vocal about it, which is, I know this is sort of the same as the other things that I've done. I know that this is very, similar. I want to change it up, mix it up. I get that. Trust me. I do the same exact thing. But there's something to be said for that proving ground, proving what the knife does in comparison to other blades and whether or not you would truly trust it in the scenarios you anticipate bringing it out in, or what other people might use it for. So that's the main thing, is just kind of, and I know it sounds funny, but listen to the blade, listen to what it tells you. How does it feel in your hands? What's the intended use? And what do you think other people are going to use it for, and demonstrate it that way? And that's how I've literally always approached it. I'm almost annoying like that. I'm an engineer by trade, and I approach everything like an engineer. It's terrible. It's actually, it's kind of sad. I don't goof a lot, even though I should. I don't show the personality as much as I should. I put out fairly clean content. I love to swear. I'm just very clean when I'm on camera. It's almost political.
Well, and there's a lot to be said for that though as well. And you do have to be careful some with the algorithm. I try. There's certain things I don't say. I mean, I'm going to cuss, but there's certain things I'm just not going to, because you hit it on the head earlier. At the end of the day, regardless of whether you want to make money at it, you want to do it for a living, would one of my moderators please take out the dating site, please? I'm trying, but it ain't working. At the end of the day, it is business, and it's your brand, and it's a representative of who you are. And I'm not against, I swear like a sailor. I'm just saying on camera, I try to be, and I'll tell you the truth too, that I find out more and more every day, is that I have a lot of young folks that watch, like kids. Thank you, Joe. That kids that watch. So I'm like, dang, so that goes into it too. But I do think there's a lot to be said for doing the consistent testing, right? But I'm kind of hitting a point, and I'm already seeing it some, and it's happening kind of organically, where Bobby, where some natural changes are taking place, where we'll put, some tests will kind of fade out, you'll add new, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Just kind of, upgrading the equipment a little bit, but some of it I like to let happen organically, because there's certain things that come along that work better than others. So you want to find it, So that kind of thing I look at, and the psychology that I use is this: what's the best thing that I can do to focus on the strengths of the knife?
Yep.
Now I'm a chopping freak. I love to chop. I'd have choppers on every day of the week, but that's not going again. So what we've decided to do coming up in this third year for myself is challenge myself. And I enjoy doing that. Now, having said all that, let's talk about the knife you just showed, because I really, really like that.
Yeah. So my entire design, and I'm not even going to say career because it's certainly not, but the beginning of it all started as a pipe dream that I had when I was starting as a reviewer, really handling the SE6 a lot, and the Tops Silent Hero a lot. And both of those knives had attributes in them that I loved and hated. And my brain told me if I could, again, the engineering mind said if I could reverse engineer both of these into the one knife that really fit what I think it should be. I came up with a design. I pitched it to Tops to see if they wanted to make it. They said that they would, but it was going to cost me a huge amount of money, and I just quite frankly couldn't afford to get started that way.
Yeah.
And so I was actually doing some research. I had a video a long time ago, number of years back, on D2 tool steel, and I wanted to do some more research on D2, and happened across this small maker called Tanev Family Knives. Two brothers in the country of Bulgaria trying to make a name for themselves. I'm 42 years old. They're 42. Kind of in the same place at the same time, trying to make things happen. And I found them on Etsy, and I reached out to them and said, hey, I'm pretty interested in checking out your stuff. Would you like to, work with me? And, I bought the knives, again, wanting to support the maker, and just said, how do you feel about me showing your stuff on YouTube? And they said, please do. So I did. And their first couple of designs just blew me away in terms of the fit and the finish, the quality in the hand. And I threw a shot across the bow and said, hey, are you guys interested in this project? And that's where it took off. So real quick, I'm going to hold this one up. So this here is the Tanev Family Knives, or TFK. This is the T17. So all of their models begin with a T for the most part. They used to. They've changed since for Tanev Family Knives. And again, this one here, my favorite number is 17, and this is the T17. So this was sort of my original. Thank you. Yeah, my original attempt at sort of taking the best of both worlds in the SE6. And keep in mind, at the time, the SE6 didn't have the contoured handles. They only had the slab-sided.
Right.
They hadn't come out with the contoured handles yet. And sort of coming up with something that worked for me. But the joy in this project and the magic really came from the idea that the customer could pick all their features. So this particular one here, if you look at it, this has, jimping on top and a finger choil, and it has that acid stonewash finish. And you can see it has, mosaic handle scales, which are fairly detailed. But in comparison to this one here, this is also a T17.6. But you'll notice satin finish, no finger choil, no jimping, has resin handles. And both of these actually happen to have a palm swell. But if you wanted to, you could order these with a slab-sided handle. So the idea really was the fact that, ideally, you can order these through me as almost a custom, but they're not a custom knife. They're a mid-tech knife with a lot of hand finishes, but they have a factory fit. So in other words, every single T17 that is made fits with every sheath that's been made, fits with all the accessories that have been thought about for this particular knife design. And so I have the .6, so the T17.6, 6-inch knife. Then I have .5s, which I have two versions. So the 5-inch, both with a long handle, and then more of your standard handle. So these are actually same size knife blade, but different size handles. And then I have a .4. So the .4 here is more of your sort of bushcrafter. and then I got the .3, which is your little EDC. So technically, all of these are T17s. They're just slightly different length.
What steel do they use?
So, and I'm glad you say this, and I want to bring up steel as a topic. So let's not stray off of this as we progress, because I think it's very important. Tanef Family Knives, they specialized early on in two steels, D2 and N690. So the two that I have used to date are D2 and N690 for a couple of reasons. One, that is their specialty. So why stray off of something?
Right.
I've said on my channel a million times, I don't give a shit. The best steel you can put on a knife, if you don't know how to heat treat it, it was useless anyway. So because they know these steels inside and out, that is what I decided to roll with and said don't change. In the meantime, they've mastered LMAX, they've mastered 3V. They have really expanded their plethora of steels and what is available to them, because you have to remember different market spaces have access to different steels and what they can get, what they can affordably provide, so that I can turn an affordable product around that's already ridiculously expensive to make because they're handmade. What can I do to keep the price to a point where somebody actually is willing to pay for it and be a quality blade? So that in essence is
they're
the key.
Absolutely. They speak to me. I can tell you that real quick, and then we're going to go right back to it. Mr. Moore, glad you're in here. DJ Horn is here. So my steel guys here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Guns and Blades, a new friend I made today, is in here. So welcome. And Eric, I'm glad you said that about the steel, because here's the thing. And whether it's Work Tough Gear, Shade of Indonesia, Tops, Rowan, whoever, Buck with their heat treat, I think I 100%, I would rather somebody know what they're doing. If I was going to order that knife, I would go exactly with a D2 or N690, whatever that you say they specialize, because again, and just to reiterate what you said, I don't want somebody to do something they're not comfortable with. Thank you, DJ. DJ said Magna Cut sucks. He said it. but I agree. And the beauty of those knives, and I've said this on my channel, I'll say it till I'm dead. The more a knife looks like a knife, the more I'm into it. And those I love. I like the one with the choil and the jimping. For me, that's just personally. But yeah, for a working blade, that would be what I would carry. That exactly, the jimping and the choil. For a show-off blade, the other one with the satin finish and the long handle, yes, love that. But for a working blade we like to say in the field, whatever, camping, whatever, that's gorgeous. That looks is that a recurve?
You know who does this work? Does it look familiar?
Alpha? Who is that?
No. Hunter Cutchin.
Is that Hunt? DB.
DB Hemlock. Yep.
He acid etched it, didn't he?
Yep. So that's literally
the great work. And there he is. We're just talking about you, Hunter.
Yeah, the exact same knife, man. But he clip pointed it out, gave it some badass serrations, that awesome acid etch, and a little fire steel notch. So yeah,
he does a great job. I'm gonna wind up with Hunter on one of these in the next few weeks. Big Red's in the house. What's up, brother? The truth is, yeah, you're right on time, Hunter. Big Red, glad you made it in, buddy. I know you're at work. Hunter does insane work, man, and it's awesome that they took and modded that knife. Guns and Blades, good seeing it. Guns and Blades, I watched one of his videos today on Tops. To go back to the steel, the 1095, Rowan 1095, I like that a lot. I like simplicity, man. I think that's what speaks to me about those designs you have there. Just the simplicity of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and as a designer, right, you got to cut your teeth and you need to prove something out. So for me, it was, can I design something that just functionally works the way that I personally wanted to, right? And this is another topic that I think is interesting. As a designer, I designed this knife for me. It was the answer to a question I had in my mind. I designed it for me. I said, if it works for me, could it work for other people? Sure, but it was proof of concept for me. Can I actually design something? And can somebody manufacture it? So why not start fairly simple, fairly basic? I mean, imagine coming out day one with the Chanto and being like, well, I don't know if people are going to like it, but this is my proving ground. In my opinion, it wasn't the way for me to go.
Right.
And it was a proof of concept. And you know what? I've greatly enjoyed the process working with now multiple manufacturers and the way they approach it. Europeans are elegant, man. They're
Yeah.
elegant. European manufacturing is sexy. It's just so, there's something about it. It's not the same. It is, but it's not. It's a knife, of course, and it's similar steel, but man, it's just like when you see a real nice like box knife, you're like, oh, that is like super nice, and like you know, anything that's a nice European manufactured blade, and especially when you get into customs, they're special.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those are absolutely gorgeous. I like having. I've got one. I've got my favorite folder, and it's a question we'll get into in a second. My favorite folder is my Billy Wademo Lion Steel. This is one of my absolute favorites. But the deal is, and I'll ask you this before we get too far into it, because I ask everybody this: do you have a knife? And I call mine my go to hell knife. It doesn't have to be the most expensive. It doesn't even have to be a favorite. But do you have a knife that if you see it, it goes in your pocket? No matter what, when you're leaving the house, you've got to put it in your pocket. You got to take it with you. Doesn't have to be a favorite, doesn't have to be expensive, but it's just like one that it's tried, it's true, it's proven, and it's going in your pocket. What knife do you have?
So this for me is where I was and where I am. Where I was definitely for a huge amount of time. My original Spyderco Endura was like my first love. That's actually what turned me into a real knife believer and knife fan. Bought it in the 90s and carried it for a freaking huge amount of time religiously. The problem now is I'm a student. Because I design knives, I'm always looking to feel something different, see something different. Because I work with companies like Bestech, and quite frankly, I have access to hundreds and hundreds of knives that I can just carry different ones. I tend to carry something different every 2 to 3, maybe 4 days. So I maybe go half a week or so carrying a particular folding knife, with the exception being every now and then something really special lands in my pocket and I'll carry it for around a month. And so if I have a folding knife in my pocket for a month, that thing has really, really talked to me. And I've had a few that are really great. I have to talk about some really incredible designers. And I think, talking about designers can influence what I tend to keep in my pocket. When it comes to pure folding knives and even fixed blades for that matter, but when it comes to pure folding knives, I'm a big Dirk Pinkerton fan. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but strikes the balance between utility purpose and self-defense and a good EDC. I really do love his designs, and there's been some great ones that have just lived in my pocket for a long time. Um, you know, uh, Folding knives are funny because I'm such a fixed blade type of guy. But you know, I can't always rock a fixed blade, even though I pretty much generally do. Of course, a folder is going to be a little more convenient and typically more acceptable in most areas. But I'm a fixed blade guy. So, that's another thing. Do fixed blades live on my hip beyond a couple of days, a few days? Usually not. So I'm usually trying to kind of progress. And that's for a number of reasons. It's either um, part of a review and I need to get, good practical use and handle time. Or it's because, quite frankly, I want to experience the feel of that knife in my hands and inspire me in a way maybe a different knife didn't.
I got you. I got you. So you went right around the question and didn't answer it, but okay. Now I understand. I have I this knife here. I hope this is it, because I'm not. Yeah, it is. This knife here is my CQC7, and you can tell. I think DJ's worked on this thing 100 times, but it's just Dan from Blind Owl Bushcraft. Man, it's good to see you. Dan was over in the Philippines, he and his family. I'm glad to see you're back, Dan, on YouTube, there for a while after that storm. But this one goes with me. If I walk by it, I stick it in my pocket. No, I can have 5 or 6, but it goes. And then my Nomad EDC's with me just about every day. But I carry a lot of knives for that same reason. One, I just like carrying knives, to be honest with you. But two, when you have the excuse of, oh, I'm a knife reviewer, we can carry a little more and it makes a little more sense. Well, it doesn't make more sense, but you know what I'm saying. So I like. Yes, you did. Thank you, DJ. He said he took the lock stick out of my. That's probably for me beating the hell out of it, out of my Emerson, out of my Medford. But this is just one that I keep on me if I see it. Now, a lot of times I rotate my carry. The weekends is when I can carry folders. During the week, the powder coating and the sandblast, I just can't do a folder. But the weekend now is where I carry most of my folders. So those are ones in my pocket. Those are ones that I like. And I like asking people because there's guys that carry, the little case knives, slip joints. Big Red's a big slip joint guy, and every now and then I'll throw one of those in my pocket. But I find we carry things, or I don't know if you find this to be true. I know practicality dictates carry a lot. What I'm doing dictates carry a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And fitting personality dictates carry a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I might get a couple in that, hey, matter of fact, I've got a couple of different ones here that I got from Kurt. I do that every damn time. This little Boker, that's something a little different than what I would carry normally. So I'll put it in, and I got this O knife that I've been wanting to check out, right? So I'll carry these, but I will always have, like I'll either have my Medford, I'll have my Cold Steel 4Max. I'm going to have my Rajah 2. I'm going to have Redneck Renegade. What's up, brother? I'm going to have a big folder. That's something that I always carry, like a big folder, usually some kind of quick sticker. And I always have my pocket fixed blades. And that's what I found too about that Tops Silent Hero 4. That is an absolute, I love that. I fell in love with that knife, man. That'll be another pocket fixed blade.
This is sweet. It really is a pocket fixed blade. And I haven't really put this to significant use yet. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do to review this. It's funny that you say it because I was thinking about it and I'm like, you know what? I might just talk about it. And I don't do that a lot. Most of my stuff is actual demonstrations. I'm like, I might just talk about this because this knife is really fantastic. That you've said it in your review quite a bit. The handle comfort and the overall just fit in the hand is fantastic. I like this a lot. This is a great knife.
Oh, it's awesome. And it's comfortable. The thing is, I'll tell you one thing I do, and we talked about knife psychology a little bit here, and then we'll kind of get to some stuff and start wrapping up here in a few because we've been on a minute. But one thing I do, and I don't know if you do this or not, when I get a knife, we'll just use this one. I'll carry it like this, check it out, but I always spin it and see how that carries. Now, I'm not going to use it this way unless I'm trying to do something at work, right? But if it's just as comfortable this way as it is this way, for some reason in my head, it lines up. That Silent Hero 4 is comfortable no matter how you hold it, right?
I
The
agree with
Silent
you.
Hero to me is a little bit bigger. JB, thank you for stopping by, buddy. The Silent Hero to me, depending on the handle you get, can be a little thin, right? But that Silent Hero 4, man, is just money. Turtle Wolfpack, what's up? It's just money, and they did a great job with it. Is it Anton, the designer?
Yeah. Duplessis, I think. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, it's Anton, and I think it's Duplessis.
I think you're right. Take if you got that Silent Hero 4, take and spin that just like I did. Like spin it on your hand. You see what I'm talking about there? Do you do that?
Oh, that's critical. I think it's critical. My personal opinion, and especially for a fixed blade. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is as comfortable in that grip you had to me as it was the other way. That's like the little evil today. Stabbing and using the pommel. Yeah. See, it just lines up. The ergonomics line up on that. The guy killed it with that design, man. I mean, he's got a home run with that, in my opinion. And those are knives that I've been doing a lot of LT Wrights, and I've got this one coming up. Let's see if I can get the right thing. This is the Bradford Guardian 5.5. See, this one lines up to me. I like this one. And now this is a knife when I started the channel, I would have stayed. Ken, thank you, man. Good Lord. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. When I started the channel, Eric, honestly, something like this would have scared me to death because I've used the knife. We've all used pocket knives, you know, cutting a bag, cutting an apple. And I'm not saying like, oh my God, reviewing knives is super tough. It's super fun. But when you actually, you know, when people like Rusty Knife Lovers in here, and when guys who've used a knife candy, what's up? When you got guys that have actually used knives and know what they're talking about, you got to learn quick. And like this one, I just did this Bradford. I like the way it feels. It's got the jimping, but if I spin it, and don't drop it, if I spin it, it's the same. And to me, that's like your knife. That's like this Stinger here. One of the things that just the performance sold me. But when I take your knife and I do the same, it's perfect. It's perfect. I love that. You know what I'm saying? It's just no matter how you hold it this way. And I immediately go to that. I immediately go to my thumb on the back for control, right? And people always talk about, I don't know why the hell they do it, but people always want to go, first thing they want to go to is knife fighting. And I'm like, how many have you been in your life? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
But with this thing, it's perfect. And I'm going to wind up putting like a little tech lock or something on it. But I just like having this in my pocket. I use this every day. Damn day.
I'm glad. And I appreciate that you say that. You know, when I start drawing, and it's really a funny thing, but it kind of makes sense. You know, once I have a rough sketch, you know, I start putting my hand on the piece of paper and I start flipping the piece of paper around and I'm trying to grab the knife and grab the handle and like feel how it feels. And, you know, I do that a lot. And you always wonder, how is it going to translate? And one of the most important things that I've gained an appreciation for over time is that sort of roundness to the back and the ability to index your finger over. And especially on the smaller knives, on slightly larger handles, okay, you start to think about it a little different. But for me, most of my designs, and you can see here, this was the original 3D molded print that came from Work Tuff for the Stinger. And when I got this in my hand, I just dropped it. When I had it in my hands, I literally sat with it for, I would say, maybe 2 full weeks, just keeping this in my pocket. And I kept going back to that reverse grip, saying, okay, like, this thing works. And the funny thing about the Stinger is you wouldn't think about, when you look at it and it's got that curve, at first you would think it's not going to fit well in the hand, but that's kind of what makes it. And that's what keeps the knife from spinning. If this handle was straight, it would literally twist in your hand. But the fact that it has that curve it does two things. It gives you that perfect indexing point, but it also prevents the knife from spinning. And then in that reverse grip, forget about it. It's literally, I designed it explicitly to the size of my hand for the reverse grip. So the fact that you said that, and on this particular knife, you nailed it.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing to me. I love it. I love the grip. I love it. And, I said you don't use, but, honestly, there's a lot of times with this, I do use it because one thing that I do, Byron, have a good night, buddy. I appreciate you. The one thing I do with this a lot, when I do sandblasting, we've moved, thank God, to 8,000 pound bags of sand. You put it in the hopper. Well, I have to reach up and actually untie it. They've got a terrible system. Anyway, this knife usually goes up in. So for this knife, honestly, what this knife does a lot is goes straight into a canvas bag into sand and cuts it. So the fact that it's still holding edge, it's still, but that's what it's for. Or I'll, reach around and do something like that. Again, with the sand, rip it open because you're trying to keep moving. It's just, it's perfect to me. Somebody asked about the Nomad EDC. Yeah, that's in my pocket every single day of my life. It's just one of those designs I love. It works. And the truth is a lot. Now I don't have the Work Tough gear. Good night, Rusty. Appreciate you coming by, Bubba. The Work Tough gear, is it the Clapahatchee or Clapahatchee, or when that one drops, I'm grabbing that one.
Yeah, the Clapahatchee.
Clapahatchee. Yeah. Yep. That's a great knife. Great looking knife to me. Gargoyles. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, this is Andy Tran design, same as the Tops Tahoma field knife.
Okay.
Same designer.
Well, that I love that Tahoma. I didn't realize he designed that. I love that knife. I'm gonna grab one of those.
What's gonna I think catch you by surprise? It's thin. This is a nimble and thin little blade, so it's like 1/8 inch stock. It's cool. This is a cool little knife.
Good little slicer.
Yeah, man.
This is the one I was looking for a while ago. This is Bobby's design.
Oh, that's sweet.
This is the one Work Tough Gear is going to pick up. This is the Bobcat. And I just love this damn knife. I really do. A lot of times on the weekends, this one's on the hip. And if you'll notice, if you'll see the handle.
That looks like an LT design in a way, or manufacturing anyway.
Battle Horse is the maker.
Oh, similar lineage. Very interesting. Okay.
Battle Horse did the make. But if you look at that, damn it. I swear I'll get the camera. But if you look at that, it just contours, man. And again, now this one, it's got a good Scandi grind. Ryan was talking about Scandi grinds in the comments. I love the Scandi grind on this one. This one, I love this. And it did well. I did several things with it. I'm looking forward to see what Work Tough does with it. You know what I'm saying? But that handle's what screams at me. I mean, the handle's just it to me, So I think he's got a home run there.
No, that's going to be great. And, Work Tough has a slightly different take, when they get down on their grind. Most of the knives that you see, in fact, I believe maybe even all of them have some level of a convex edge. They're not a V grind. And of course, in that particular case on the knife, and I forget what you named it, but, Battle Horse, I mean, their Scandi grinds are about as good as they get, fully zeroed out, all the way down to that. There's no secondary bevel. It's a zero grind all the way to the bottom of the edge. So to see, like you said, what Work Tough does with it. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what they're going to do, because I love the design, I love the knife, and I know they're going to knock it out of the park on the handle. That's the part. And then, are you familiar with half-breed blades?
Yes.
Okay, I got I'll show you a couple more, and then we'll start heading towards the end. But this is one. This is that medium clearance. I'm a big fan of this one. But half breed, there might be a little something in the works with them. We'll know. Well, there is something in the works with them, but I like their stuff a lot too, man. And I think, what do they use? What is, before I say something wrong, I know they use different. I know their folders. They've got a folder that's S30. This is D2.
I was going to say, I thought that would be in D2, but yeah,
it's D2, and it's. I did a little. It's a pocket fixed blade, but it's a neck knife. Kirk says it's pocket fixed blade, but I'm impressed with their stuff, man. Really impressed with their stuff. I like their build quality. I like the fact they list where all their stuff comes from. I like a lot of stuff about them. I really, really, really do. But what do you got coming up? Let's talk about that, and then we'll start wrapping her up, because I know you got youngins and I got bed. What you got coming up?
So there's some cool stuff. I mean, I mentioned earlier, you know, we continually have some things cooking with Work Tough gear. You know, I actually at Blade Show announced a design that I'm collaborating with a Polish designer. His name's Kombu. So this is a nice sort of field knife being manufactured by Bestech. So this one here, this is called the Horizon. So I expect hopefully to see it in calendar 22. If things go well, we'll see this calendar year. So again, this is just a working prototype. We haven't finalized all the details. I've given my suggestions for what this should be for the final materials, but it's just a matter of Bestech agreeing and then figuring out the price point. So this is coming out. I'm really excited about this. Feels great in the hand. You'll notice a lot of my handle designs are just slightly longer, buys you that little bit of extra space, which I think you're going to like this. You know, nice, generous finger choil. And then the design aesthetic is sort of a Kombu design aesthetic. So this is going to be a great performer. I did a couple of videos on this on my channel to sort of prove it. And again, I am about as tough on my own designs as I am on everybody else's, because if it doesn't meet my standard, then why am I designing it in the first place? So this is coming out. I'm pretty pumped about that. I actually have another prototype being manufactured as we speak with Tanev Family Knives. So the same as my T17 lineup, but a completely different direction, a complete departure from this particular blade shape, which is awesome. We're contemplating how we're going to release that, but I'm pretty excited about that. The question was on the hollow grind or flat grind. What was that on the Horizon? If it's about the Horizon, this is a flat grind. I don't personally really like hollow grinds as somebody who does a lot of harder use. I tend to like more of a flat grind, and it actually goes into a very high saber. So this is what I would call a very high saber grind, but mostly flat. And then something that I'm really pumped about that should be coming out actually fairly soon, and I just got to make a couple phone calls and figure out where we're at. This here is a small little companion blade that I designed for T. Kell. So Tim Kell Knives, U.S. manufacturer, small maker, and Scab. If you don't know T. Kell, check them out. Really cool blades. So this one here is called the Accomplice. It's the knife you kind of got caught with. It was your accomplice. But you know, the idea like being that. Again, thanks, man. Yeah, it lives in your pocket at all times. And guess how this one was designed? You think this was designed around the reverse grip? Of course it was.
I like that a lot. So, I like that a lot.
This should be coming out fairly soon. And other than that, the interesting thing, and I haven't really talked about it a ton, I set out in 2021 to design 100 knives. And I succeeded with that goal. I completed 100 knife designs in 2021. I
Did you
refined,
really?
yep, I refined 10 of them, and I pitched 5. And those 5 all you've started to see dribs and drabs and bits and pieces, and they're getting manufactured. Oh, and I don't have anything to show, but I do have an awesome knife that I am so pumped about, coming out with shade. So yes, shade, I have a design in the works, and on top of that, a collaboration that Don Moore Kramer of Carnivora and I have been battling back and forth now for about 3 weeks. So there's a lot to come, man. I'm pretty pumped.
Awesome,
And it's
man.
all really cool stuff.
I'm really excited. The things that you've showed me, I'm really excited about. I love that accomplice a lot.
Thank you.
Lot. I like the one from Bestech too. That's a good looking knife too. You've got a lot of good looking, like I said, again, the things that look like a knife, and people that are knife guys will understand what I'm saying, right? The not to me the beauty's in the simplicity.
Right.
You know,
my brain tends to start simple. I'm a very just linear type of person.
but that's pragmatic though. That's from usage and the type of usage you do, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you're in the mountains a lot, you're working a lot, you're outside a lot, you're camping a lot, so you're going to be more pragmatic, and I like that. Where me coming out of it, and the guy, one of the guys in the comments, Richard, is kind of my guy, my camping buddy, my Ricky Ricardo type guy. We when you go camping, and I'm just now kind of getting into that. And the thing is, it's so damn hot down here. You can't, during the summer, like it's still in the 90s outside, or it's raining, or it's whatever. I'm not camping in it, dude. I'm 280 pounds. I'm not. But when it's cool, but my whole point is those type of blades that you're designing there, to me, look like great camp knives, great field knives, great all around knives. That accomplice I'll wind up with. I can promise you that.
Nice.
Well, man, listen, we've been on about an hour and a half, and I've enjoyed it. You about ready to start wrapping this thing up?
I am. And, there's a lot of incredible people on this call, a lot of friends and colleagues. And, and I do look at, very many of you as friends, and, it's a comment at a time in many cases, but man, you guys are phenomenal. I'm nothing without the support. Scab, you're the man. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for being on, man.
Yeah. And I know this is just the beginning for us as well. So awesome stuff. And I'll let you close it out, brother.
I'll do it. Hang on the line when we get off. Listen, guys, here's the deal. I want to thank Eric personally for being on. Hunter, I'll probably be getting with you around this weekend to set up. I'm going to have Hunter Crutchin on pretty soon. Thank you, Eric, for facilitating the tops. Thank you for what we got coming up. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being on the first Work Tough Wednesday. It's been awesome, man. I've enjoyed it. Guys, listen, I love y'all. God knows I do, and I appreciate y'all. Now, tomorrow night, we're having Blackie Thomas on. So make sure you join us then. Outside of that, guys, thank y'all. Everybody have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon. We gone, son. If I can hit the button. We're still on. Come on, Scab.